Hey, this one's a little weird. Again, this is Gassman's alt named Bank Alt, Red Terran against a Blue Protoss who's neutral and in Gold League or whatever. Um, so I guess your question in this game was why was the why was your 10-minute army size so small? But it's just so obvious, man. All right, so here we go. The build in TVP is Supply Depot, racks, Reactor Core, second supply depot. Now, because you didn't get any gas, you can't make reactor core or the tech lab. So your army is gonna be at most, if both of these racks are constantly producing, at most you can produce 250 bucks a minute worth of army, which is practically nothing. And you do this, you cut gas, and you don't have any ability to produce an army specifically so that you can get this really quick command center, and that's fine. A 2 racks bunkered fast expand is a good build. I like it. It's decent and whatever, but it's specifically giving you a smaller army on purpose so that you can get that expansion up quick. So I don't understand why you would think it's even possible to do a 2 racks fast expand with no gas and no add-ons and then have a reasonable army size at 10 minutes. It's not. It's not possible whatsoever, dude. If you want to have a good army size by 10 minutes, you need to have the production infrastructure there to build the units, and you just don't. Also, you kind of build a slow chain of supply depots all the way around here throughout the game. That's just really, really bad. I don't like that at all. I think that you're doing it in order to keep this SCV nearby the bunker so that if he needs to, he can walk over and repair or something, and that's fine. But just in general, supply depots are so useful at creating lowerable barriers throughout your base that why would you waste them by putting them in a random position? And also, if you lose 4 or 5 supply depots, you're going to be supply blocked for several minutes. So it's a really crucial building to protect. You don't want it up here just kind of randomly being built in weird places. So if we look, it's 8 minutes in, and he's going to be attacking you now. 7 to 8 minutes, usually 7 minutes is a pretty common attack timing. So he's coming up at 8 minutes because he wanted to have multiple phoenixes and surprise you. But you'll see this is still building it out and this is still building it out. And so these two buildings don't even count. They haven't been built yet. So the only production you've had all game is off of 2 racks. But normally 2 racks would be fine. You'd get a pretty decent army size off of 2 racks. But in fact, you didn't have any add-ons in these 2 racks for most of the time. So your army spending at this point is 900 plus a bunker is 1,000. And the benchmark for 8 minutes is 2,000. The benchmark for 8.5 minutes is probably uh, 2,400. So you've got $1,400 less than you should at this point. Now you survive this battle and you actually come out way ahead just because of this fast expand and surviving this battle, and that's great. And then you win the game because of that. But if your question really is how do I get a bigger army by the time Protoss attacks me, then the answer clearly is have a bigger production infrastructure earlier. And that doesn't mean more racks, it just means add-ons on the racks you have. Also, double engineering bay in TVP is very late game centric. This is going to be 250 bucks plus 400 bucks of upgrades. So um, 650 bucks. It's the same as when Protoss goes for double forge. If you hit them before the upgrade's complete, they spent 700 bucks on those upgrades that aren't going to be part of their army and don't count until they complete. And it's the same thing for you. You're spending 600 bucks and getting nothing out of it until 3 minutes later. And until you've survived the first attack, I would not recommend doing that in TVP. Unless you've, scouted like a double expand or something ridiculous. Um, so yeah, dude, yeah. Uh, I mean, your total army spending is a product of your total military, how often you used it. So the percent saturation on these buildings is pretty low, which is funny. A lot of times you won't have enough buildings, but you'll use them well, and then you have 100% saturation on the buildings you have, but you just don't have enough buildings to possibly make enough troops. And then other times you'll have, not you specifically, but people will have, the reason they'll have a small army is because they have too many buildings and then massive undersaturation of the buildings they have. And you kind of have both problems. You don't have enough buildings and you're not using them. So supply blocks, not using them right now. You know how the benchmark graph, you start with 500 at 5 minutes? and then 6 minutes you're at 1,000, and then 7 minutes you're at 1,500, and then 8 minutes you're at 2,000. You notice how it goes up by 500 each time? That's because you're expected to have 2 racks with add-ons starting at 4 minutes and then go up by 500 every minute from there. So really, in order to hit the benchmark, all you need to do is have 2 racks with add-ons and constantly produce out of them. You don't need to worry about that third building. You don't need to do anything special. It's not complicated. Just make 2 buildings and use them. So during this fight, you're not producing anything, and then you realize you need to produce stuff. And pull all these SCVs to help you combat stuff. And these SCVs not mining for a long time is going to reduce your army spending even further, but it's also going to make sure you don't die. And then at the end of the fight, your income is way higher than his. You're on 2 base with 2 mules and more workers, a lot more workers than him. And then you just kind of ride this economic advantage to the end of the game and be like, woo, huge income, I'm the man. Like that. So Yaman. And it's really, I guess from your perspective, spent every penny that I pulled in, right? I only have 500 bucks in the bank, and yet I'm 1,400 bucks behind. So what's going on? But the answer is just these 2 engineering bays and this command center that's morphed into an orbital, and these 2 buildings that haven't made anything yet. All that kind of adds up to a total of, let's say, 2 plus 5 plus 2 plus 1. Yeah, so that all adds up to the detriment. That's how much you are behind in army size, is all building. Yep. So if you want to fast expand, and yet you want to not fall behind on army size, those 2 things, a less zergy fast expand and a more, normal fast expand. The 2 racks fast expand, where you get gas and add-ons. What you want to do is put just 1 dude on gas. 1 or 2 dudes on gas, and then use that little trickle of gas income to make add-ons for your racks. And so your mineral income is still really high. The whole point of not getting gas is to give you those extra SCVs on minerals, because minerals is what you really want. But if you put just a couple of guys on gas, like 1 or 2 guys, then you can get the gas you need, because you really don't need very much, and still have a really high mineral income. 1 Marauder every cycle takes 1 SCV mining gas. So basically, yeah, just throw some dudes on gas until you have enough for your 2 add-ons, and then pull everyone off except 1 dude, and then start making Marauders. Marauder, Marine, Bunker, that kind of stuff. Anyway. I would point you again towards the Halby 4000! Halby 4000! Toward the Halby 4000 kind of thing. This is the TVP build I used. Alright, so this is a contest in the entry for so you just get a tiny trickle of gas and then 2 racks with add-ons, and then you can throw down your command center really pretty early. So in your game, you do get this command center at like 4 minutes instead of 4.5 minutes, but with this build, getting it at 4.5 minutes, you end up with a lot more army. Army. So yeah, dude. Let's see if I ever open the army spending tab. Maybe I don't. Oh well. There we go. So 3,500 by 10 minutes, 3,800 by 10 minutes, and on top of stim and whatever, it all comes out to 4,000. So, boom. Try that, man. Try that.